Hello, and welcome to the Ask a BA series. Today, we'll be looking at Lesson 4 Strategic Context of Business Analysis in our theme, How to Be a Great BA. So, let's get right into it. What is strategy? Johnson et al. In 2017 defined strategy as the long-term direction of an organization. In other words, it's the long-term plan of an organization within an environmental context. Where does this organization want to be in the long run within that particular environment? When we talk about the strategic context of business analysis, we're talking about how business analysis fits within the strategy of an organization. If you look at the diagram in front of you, we've split the organization into two major parts: their current state and their target state. And we'll be looking at how business analysis plays a role in this. If you look at the diagram carefully, in your current state, you have a flow line that goes into strategy execution, and that will lead you to your target state. And then there's a feedback loop in which in which performance is measured, and that takes you back into your current state. Now, when we talk about the current state, from a business analysis point of view, you're trying to analyze the current state of the organization. And there are particular tools that can be employed in doing this. One of the major ones to do is to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of that organization, and also to understand the opportunities and the threats. This is an acronym for SWOT, which we would explain later. Now, when we talk about the strengths and weaknesses, some of the tools we can use to identify this within an organization is the VMOST analysis, the resource audit, the balance scorecard, the performance measurement, and the boosting box. Now, these are all internal environment analysis. So, in other words, when you're talking about the strengths and the weaknesses, you're talking about the internal environment of the organization. Now, when you talk about opportunities and strengths, you are talking about the external environment of that organization. And there are tools that you can use to assess the external environment of the organization. And these tools include PESU analysis and also Porter's 5 forces. There are also a number of other external environmental analysis tools that can be used. So, from a business analysis point of view, you analyze the current state of the organization using the internal environment analysis and the external environment analysis. And based on that, a strategy execution takes place, and you transform that organization into its target state. Now, the ways in which you can measure the target state of an organization, there are certain tools, and some of these tools include the BMC, which is the business model canvas. Then you've got the BCM, which is for business continuity management. You've got your value stream modeling, and you've got your TOM, which is the target operating model. So that is the end state that the organization wants to get to. And if you look at the diagram again, you see the feedback loop that goes from the target state back to performance measurement and back again into the current state. That tells you that it's a continuous cycle where you analyze the current state using a number of tools. There is strategy execution. You get to the target state. The target state is measured, and then if there are improvements that needs to be made, it goes back again, and you repeat the cycle again. So a continuous improvement cycle. VMOS stands for vision, mission, objective, strategy, and tactics. And PESU is political, economic, social-cultural, technological, legal, and environmental factors. Why SWOT? Is your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. that meets that organization. And you've got your Porter's five forces. There's also POPIT, which stands for people, organization, process, information, and technology. If you want more explanation about this, drop a comment and I would explain that. But for this session, we'll look at two strategic analysis tools, one for the internal environment and one for the external environment. For the internal one, the very popular one is SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And in the diagram below, I've highlighted a number of strengths. And some of these include capability, competitive advantage, resource and assets, and people which the organization has. And then for weaknesses, you have things like lack of capability, financial constraints, technological constraints. And then for opportunities, you've got market development, you've got industry and lifestyle changes. These are all opportunities that an organization can um, can use to push themselves forward. And then you've got threats. Some of these threats could include political and external factors. Some could be legal factors as well. If you take a good look at the diagram, you'll see quite a number of strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats that you can use to analyze an organization. That is for internal analysis. And then if we go over to external analysis, we're looking at PESU. Under political, you've got things like the tax incentives, the employment laws, the import restrictions. These could all affect an organization. Then for economics, you've got taxes. For social, you've got location, lifestyle, family size. Technological, you've got introduction of cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. For legal, there are discrimination laws, health and safety, environment, there are changes in the weather, climate, laws. Have a look at this diagram and you would be able to see some of the factors that can affect an organization internally and externally. And now I have a short exercise for you. Imagine that you've just been appointed as your organization's business analyst, and you've been asked to conduct a strategic review of your organization using two strategic analysis tools. Now, why don't you do a 10 minutes PowerPoint presentation and see how you'll be able to use some of the strategic tools that we've mentioned in this session. There are quite a number of them we've explained to. You can have a look at these and try and see if you can do a strategic analysis of your organization. Thank you again for joining us today. If you have any comments, any thoughts, drop it, and in our next session, we'll have a look at those thoughts. See you in the next video.